Hello, everyone. Good morning. Can you let me know if you are able to hear me well? So go to the Q&A section and just say hello or hi or whatever comes to your mind. At least we'll get to know that I'm able to hear you and no, of course, I will not be able to hear you, but you should be able to hear me. Okay, very good. Yeah, okay, I see Anka. That's an interesting name. Celestine. Very good. So I think the audio is good. Okay, so I'll just say thank you. Then let me say another answer. Thank you. Where are you folks from? If you can put it in the chat. Austin, okay. Chicago, Romania. Oh, okay. Anka is from Romania. One of my colleagues is from Romania. Her name is Victoria Cupid. You might have heard her name. Omotayo is from Canada. Endurance was there in the previous call as well. I think maybe this is making a sound. Let me do one thing. Let me pause it because it's kind of going to YouTube as well. So I'm getting a feedback from YouTube. No, it's okay. Shouldn't be a problem now. Let me go back to Zoom. Where is Zoom? Okay. 1 second. I believe you folks are able to see my screen, no? That should be the case. Okay, St. Louis. Okay. Oh, Anka knows Victoria. That's nice to know. Okay, so we are almost 50 plus now. I think it's good to start. It's dot on time as well. So let me thank you for joining the Brown Bag webinar today. Last month we had a webinar. We had about 108 BAs joining us. That was a great webinar. And I'm hoping that this webinar also would be a great webinar in terms of giving you my perspective on how to read BABOK. And I trust that would be quite helpful. I think one of you have turned on the video. Can you just turn off your videos if you don't mind? That'll be less distracting. Um, Thank you so much. Okay. So I'm glad, and I see people coming in from, oh, you can see the screen, which is what I intend you to do. Okay, very good. Okay, so I think we have now about 67 participants. So I think it's good time to start. So let's begin. Start with a very quick introduction about myself. My name is Ellen Mishra. I'm Principal Business Analyst and Trainer at Adaptive US. I have been performing business analyst role for close to 27 years now, of which I have spent about 1/3 time in doing BA consulting work, 1/3 time in writing on business analysis, and 1/3 time in training BAs on business analysis. I happen to have helped close to 1,800 plus BAs complete IIBA certification, which I would consider reasonably a good record to hold. And secondly, I'm also the first business analyst in the world to hold all 7 IIBA certifications. So with me, you can trust that I do understand this space reasonably well. I have been teaching BA subjects for almost more than 12 years now, and I would have taught about 6,000 BAs on this subject. I also have been part of the new IIBA standard that came up on business analysis. I was part of the review team, and I was also part of the CCBA question setting team. So glad to see people joining from various locations, Romania, Canada, US, India. That's nice to know because generally we get students from 90 plus countries around the world. So it's always a great pleasure to meet so many BAs around the globe. In fact, just for an interesting update, I was in the BBC conference in April in Florida, and out of the 600 participants who were there were about 5 of our past students, and some of them were already certified and I was very happy to see them, and they were also very happy to see me in the conference. And if some of you plan to join the next year BBC, I may have an opportunity to see you as well. So again, congratulations for taking an important step in your BA career. This 1 hour can help you to save at least 20 hours of your study time and not getting confused with BA-BOK. Frankly, BA-BOK is not a very simple document to master. I wish it was written in a much better way, maybe much more simpler, and in terms of volume also. I would have expected it to be about 200 pages, but we landed up with 500 pages, which is a very large volume of text. Okay, so how are we going to take this webinar through? So mainly I'm going to focus on the context of BA-BOK. Okay, and when you understand the context of a document, it becomes a lot easier for you to appreciate what is being written in the book and why it is being written in that way. So we will also decode BABOK knowledge areas, which took me a lot of time. Frankly speaking, it didn't occur to me when I did my CBAP. It didn't occur to me. Some of it actually made sense to me at that time as well, but some knowledge areas did not make sense to me. And I used to always wonder, how come strategy analysis is coming after elicitation? Because I came from a management consulting background, and for us, strategy always comes before execution. That's a standard process we follow. Like, as an organization, you must set a strategy, and once you set a strategy, then you think, how do you implement that strategy? And in BA-BOK, we are saying planning is coming first, elicitation is coming next, and then strategy analysis is coming. So it's a little unusual. And then there are choices made in the strategy analysis area. There are choices being made about the solution in requirements analysis area. So what are we deciding? What is it that we are deciding in strategy analysis? And what is it that we are deciding in requirements analysis? So we will do that. And then I will be happy to answer any of your questions given the time constraint that we have. I plan to kind of finish this webinar in 30-35 minutes, not take much longer, and keep about, say, 30 minutes approximately, I'm saying, for your questions. Okay, so that way you'll get some concrete answer from someone who has been studying BABOK and teaching BABOK for so many years. And if there are some questions which I am not able to answer, which is quite unlikely, I do have my other colleagues who have been part of BABOK writing team. I can always ask them or go back to IIBA itself and ask some questions. So please remember, we do have a special offer for all of you, and I'm going to announce that at the end of the webinar. Just stick on and listen to me, clarify your doubts, and take the benefits and go. Okay, so I think I'll skip this slide. I have already told about you, told about myself. That's good enough. Okay, so here is one interesting question for you. How many of you have gone through BA-BOK? Okay, just say yes in the Q&A section. We will see how many of you have gone through BA-BOK. Okay, let me see. No, not yet. Some of you say yes. Bithani says yes. Kyle says yes. Mustafa says yes. Oh, Mustafa says 3 times. Okay, good. So let me ask this question to maybe Kyle. How do you find BABOK, Kyle? Interesting read? Difficult read? How do you find? Let me see if I got an answer from Kyle. Not yet, not yet, not yet. Many of you. Kyle says, I think it is very interesting. Okay, good. Let me ask one more person. Maybe Sadiq. How do you find? Oh, Sadiq hasn't gone through BABOK, so I can't ask. Let me see. Michael John Murray. You say that you have been through BABOK. So what has been your experience with BABOK? Michael also says, interesting, very good. I'm glad both of you are liking BABOK. In fact, I had one very interesting answer from one of my students in one of the webinar, I think in one of the live sessions. And when I asked this question to the gentleman, he said the night he doesn't get sleep, he reads Babok. So he says, uh, it's such a dry book. The moment I start reading Babok, I'll get nice sleep. I said, yeah, that's a very interesting use case for Babok. It is a hard document. Frankly, I had terrible time with BABOK. It took me a long time. There are some aspects in BABOK which I still struggle. So let me be very frank with you. It's not that I understand BABOK like 100%. It's hard. And it was written by many people. So that sometimes you'll find a bit of a disconnect between how each author has thought about it. So let's see how ultimately it comes to us and how do we interpret Babok. So all of you believe that Babok is for business analysis. Well, that's how it says, business analysis, body of knowledge. And that's where the whole confusion comes. No? So if you look at a consultant's view of business analysis, it will be about analyzing the business. That means I would focus on how is the business doing, first thing. Is it doing well? Not doing well. Very good. Second level, if it is not doing well, why it is not doing well? Hmm? Which products are not doing well? Okay. Or which services are not doing well? So I'll go deep like that. So that's what I did in early days of my work career. So that's why a lot of people struggle with BABOK because when they are coming from a business background, not from an IT background, they find it very hard because it's not talking about a problem at business level or analyzing a business. Although it talks about analyzing a business, but it talks about analyzing a specific aspect of business. Okay. Not the business performance, no, not business strategy, not at all. Okay. So you'll hardly hear any word saying this is the enterprise strategy that the company should follow. So it something happened like this. Okay, I'll talk about BABOK a little bit later. This is what I figured out after quite a lot of struggle that BABOK is one category of business analysis. It's not the whole business analysis. And of course, the entire aspect of business analysis can be very large. So you could have a data perspective to analysis, which is what has become a very popular notion of BA. In fact, when we talk of business analyst in general nowadays, it's typically pertaining to business data analyst. Whereas people who wrote BABOK, they came actually from the software requirements analysis world. Why? The reason is very simple. Organizations realized that processes are key to business performance. No, because your input costs are increasing, salaries are increasing, rentals are increasing. So you have one choice, which is to optimize your process, make it as efficient as possible to make profits. And then when you think of profits or improving processes, it comes to the fact that IT or software can help improving processes significantly. This is a realization that happened about, say, 30 years back, not today, okay? Maybe 30, 40 years back. So by that time, organizations started investing heavily into software solutions. So the software world grew like anything. And when projects were being done, people who implemented solutions, they realized that if the requirements are not done properly, the solution suffers. Very plain and simple, because requirements come in the upper part of the life cycle and solution comes in the later part of the cycle. So if you have wrong requirements or incomplete requirements, you're going to suffer. Very natural. In fact, one of my clients suffered close to 6 million USD in the year 2001, 2002, because I forgot about a requirement called scalability requirement. You should not blame me. I wasn't taught. Nobody knew. Not only me, we had a big team of 50, 60 consultants. Nobody pointed out the mistake because in those days, this was a relatively new space. People didn't understand very well. Now, of course, we have BABOK, which is guiding us quite a lot. So please remember, BABOK is written for software requirements analysis. Okay? So not for business analysis. Well, software requirements are part of business analysis world, but it's a much, much smaller part. But that's how BABOK is. So if you're writing the test, please remember you are essentially studying a software requirements analysis body of knowledge. If you keep that in mind, it makes it very simple. Okay, so what is that we wrote in BABOK or the authors wrote in BABOK? So they essentially thought about 30 tasks which they believed is very, very essential to business analysis. And they also named 50 techniques, but in reality, they included a lot of sub-techniques within that. So in reality, it's about 91 techniques. They also had BA vocabulary in the document. Just 1 second, guys. I'll just be back in 30 seconds. Sorry, folks, I was hearing some sound. It looks like my son is having a meeting. So I just went and closed the door and I came back. Okay, so now, of course, we wrote a lot of words in the BABOK, you can see, but we felt that it's too much. So we kind of compressed it and we made it almost 1/10 of original BABOK. Good. So I explained this slide to you. So remember this. There are, of course, other standards which IIBA has developed, guidebooks, whatever name you give, for other areas. Like there is a guidebook on data analytics, there is a guidebook on product ownership, there is a guidebook on cybersecurity. I've been requesting IIBA to have another guidebook on enterprise strategy, which is very close to my heart. As a business owner, it is very essential that you have a right strategy for your enterprise. Okay. So this is what I was showing you before. And if you remember the SDLC, planning comes first. Maybe strategizing comes before that, but nobody talks about strategizing in the SDLC. Then comes requirements, then comes design, development, testing, and implementation. So the planning piece was more or less handed over to the PM, PO role. And there are organizations like PMI, Prince, who started working on this aspect of the story. The requirements were picked up by either you can call them as business requirements analyst, requirements engineer, software requirements analyst. There are many names people call them. We were called functional consultants long, long back. And organizations like IIBA, BCS, IREB, even PMI picked up this aspect and they created a standard called PMI PPA. So now we should be very clear that we are talking about requirements analysis. So as you can see here, the BABOK has evolved over a period of time, which is very nice. But also remember, BABOK was conceptualized in 2004. So it's a 20-year process, no? And if you go back 20 years, and some of you may have that experience, like me, I started my BA work in the year 1996, which is almost now 26, 27 years old. So I'm older than IIBA, older than BABOK. So that time, the predominant framework was something called waterfall, which I believe all of you know. Hence, the impact of waterfall model on BABOK is very, very visible. I know some other trainers will jump on me and say, no, 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 we are method agnostic, we are framework agnostic. You can use agile if you wish. I accept. I'm not saying that BABOK does not talk about agile, but it's 80% waterfall, 20% agile. Whereas the world has become 80% agile and 20% waterfall. Does that mean BABOK becomes irrelevant? No. It still has 80% common content, which is applicable to agile, which is applicable to waterfall, things like elicitation, analysis, life cycle management. It doesn't change. Even planning stage, but planning the way we did in waterfall and the planning we do in agile differs. So the concepts remain pretty much valid, but the tweaking around is around the planning and the tasks and the techniques. Some of the techniques are there in BABOK as well. It's not that they did not consider agile at all, but my wish would have been maybe if BABOK version 4.0 comes, we should be a lot more agile and less waterfall, because waterfall is becoming more like a historical context knowledge rather than the present day reality. Okay, so I think all of us know. Okay, so then let me take you through a couple of mind maps, which will help you to visualize a BABOK better and make yourself comfortable in reading BABOK in a much more proficient manner. So this is one map which I developed about 6 months back, and I'm glad I did it because this is, as I started getting clarity on BABOK, what BABOK is trying to convey, this is where this map came up. And I would say you can take a snapshot of this particular slide. It's a very helpful slide to understand the BABOK context. So the first knowledge area in BABOK is business analysis, planning, and monitoring. And you can simply also read it as requirements planning and monitoring. Why are we talking about planning in the very first stage? Because anything you want to do, always plan. Plan, do, check, act. So there's no problem with that, except that you should remember it. Either you read it as business requirements analysis, planning, and monitoring, or you can simply call it as requirements planning and monitoring. That's fine. Knowledge area number 2, elicitation and collaboration. Here again, I would read it as requirements elicitation and stakeholder collaboration. Some authors don't accept that what you get in elicitation is requirement. It's something else. They gave it a name called DA information, some strange name which I don't think many people use, but they gave that name. So for me, it's may not be finished requirement. It is raw requirement, and not everything that you hear in elicitation or you get in elicitation becomes a solution requirement. That's not necessary. So this is something you heard from stakeholders, you got it from different source. We may decide that requirement isn't a valid requirement, it's not a valuable requirement. So we may drop it off. Okay, but to say that it's not requirement isn't really right. But just remember that BABOK does not consider that as requirement, and it considers requirements once you analyze and put it into the knowledge area number 5. Still, it's pretty much what we are talking is same. Then let's look at requirement knowledge area number 3, which is requirements lifecycle management. Pretty much simple. I have no complaints on that, except that for me, as a business analyst, requirements lifecycle management is actually much wider, much longer compared to all other knowledge areas. Requirements life cycles run at the enterprise life level. Remember that, no? Every business, once it is established, it has requirements. Requirements to fulfill certain customer demands, requirements to fulfill certain regulatory demands. Those requirements never go away till the company exists. So for me, requirements lifecycle is a way longer life cycle compared to your BA life cycle or your project life cycle. Still fine. From a name perspective, it's no issues. The problem that I have is with the knowledge area number 4, which is called strategy analysis. And a lot of people confuse this knowledge area trying to equate it to enterprise strategy analysis. It is not. It is at best change strategy analysis, or you can also call it as requirements implementation roadmap analysis. In fact, throughout BABOK, whenever you hear the word strategy, you can almost replace it with the word called roadmap. Roadmap is one part of strategy, no doubt, but it is not strategy. Strategy is slightly different, but somehow we equated roadmap to strategy, which is something I really don't like, because if it's a roadmap, call it as a roadmap. No? Roadmaps are important. They're essential element of a strategy, but strategy can be many things. Okay. So here we are actually talking about how do we implement the requirements that we have decided to implement. Do we do it in a predictive manner or do we do it in an adaptive manner? So that's why this can happen after elicitation and collaboration. No, because before that, you don't have requirements in hand. So only when you have some requirements in hand, you can think of strategy analysis. In general, I treat elicitation and collaboration knowledge area output as stakeholder requirements. That means you receive from stakeholders, but you haven't really decided how to express it as solution requirement. So that we will do later. Knowledge area number 5, I have no issues. It's requirements analysis and design definition. So just look at the number of time requirements appear here. No? Requirements analysis, requirements lifecycle management, requirements elicitation, requirements planning, essentially requirements. Okay. Then the 6th knowledge area, again, you be careful. You read it as solution performance evaluation and improvement. Because sometimes you can also have solution selection evaluation. That's something we do in RAD. That's a different task. Okay. Solution selection evaluation focuses on finding the right solution for your business need. Whereas solution performance evaluation is all about making sure that the solution that you have built or you have inherited is performing well. If it is not performing well, find ways to make it better. That's what we will do there. Now, this big mind map, so it might look a little cluttered for you, but this is something that we spent almost 40 hours debating within internally at Adaptive. What is the best way to present all the key tasks, key inputs, key outputs? So you'll find them here. And this is something which you should take a print, keep it with you, and refer it and debate it and discuss it. It's not complete, it's not perfect, but it's a great 5,000 feet view of BABOK. What are the tasks? What are the key inputs? What are the key outputs? Which tasks can be done parallelly? Which tasks can be done serially? That's what you see here. Similarly, we also created a mind map for techniques. And unfortunately, in BABOK, every technique is almost considered as independent. Like there is no relationship between one technique to another, which is not true. Secondly, not associating techniques with the knowledge area makes it harder for you to figure out which techniques I use in which knowledge area. It's a little harder. So we kind of created this map, which will essentially guide you saying, if you're doing planning, these are the techniques that are more likely to be used. If you're doing elicitation, these are the techniques that is more likely to be used. And even in that, we said, okay, if you're following the collaboration approach or research approach or experiment approach, you will have different kinds of techniques. If you are having group-oriented discussions or activities, these are some techniques. If you're having individual interactions, these are some of the techniques. Then we also figured out that there is a lot of commonality between these techniques. So like the way you run a brainstorming session, workshop, focus group, collaborative games, they're not very different. Okay. Maybe the objectives are slightly different, but the way it is conducted, it's very similar. So when you extract that common information and put it, you will find it very valuable. Similarly, you can find that in the data side of the story, you could start with concept model, go to data model, go to data flow diagram, data dictionary in a fairly logical sequence. No, there are techniques which are at a higher order. There are techniques which are at lower order. So all that we did with this mind map. So maybe 5 minutes about adaptive, and then we'll wind up and we'll check up questions from you. So I trust most of you know adaptive. It's not that we are unknown entity or something like that. We happen to be world's largest producer of IIBA certifications for 3 years in a row, 2021, 2022, 2023. So we hold about 7% of global market share, and there are 200 plus IIBA certification training institutes, including a lot of universities now offer IIBA trainings as well. And I kind of find it very interesting and nice that we have run IIBA trainings for 50 months uninterrupted. So every month we have delivered, which is, I think, an amazing feat that we have achieved. Okay, so a couple of important updates I wanted to give you. Last month, we achieved a mark of 1850 IIBA certifications, and I'm hoping that by this year end, we will definitely cross 2000. Then we also created an interesting add-on product for our on-demand training. So a lot of students came back and said, no, you have a nice on-demand training, but I also want to go through the live training, which was available at a slightly higher price point. So we created this add-on. If you wish to have the resources, take the training as well. This comes with a slightly lower cost, but also remember, it does not come with success guarantee, but 95% of our students pass anyway. So only in 5% cases, you may need a success guarantee. Otherwise, you don't need success guarantee. That's about it. So if you are confident, you are studying well, these two combinations will work well for you. So this is what we do: provide content, provide expert trainers for you, support you till you get certified. I also wanted to inform you that IIBA provides us IIBA certifications at a group discount level. So we do pass on some benefits to you. So in general, when you go through us, instead of going directly to IIBA for region one countries like US, Canada, you will definitely save $80+ for CBAP and something around $35 or $34 for ECBA, CCBA, and other certifications as well. Again, we always pride with our guarantees. So we have a success guarantee. Our sessions are guaranteed to run. And we also refund the money that we hold with us in case you are not successful with us. So we make $0 when you don't ultimately pass. So these are the kind of people that you'll see in the training sessions. You'll see me, you'll see Laura, you'll see Tom, you will see Victoria. Laura Patton has taken some kind of a sabbatical for 6 months. So I'm hoping by the end of Q3, she may come back. But till end of Q3, she is kind of taking care of her household affairs primarily. So again, you'll find tons of success stories. Go and look forward to them. You can reach out to these people on LinkedIn as well. Their names are there, and you can reach out to them. So this is something I would encourage you to download. A lot of good resources on our site. So one of the best resources that we think is 200 IIBA mock questions. That'll give you a feel for the exam, and also it has a lot of tips and guidance about the certification schemes. So this is the webinar coupon code I wanted to share with you. It's ADA, coming from Adaptive Webinar, WEB 2405. So please take a note of this. If you sign up within next 1 week, you get extra 1 month of access without any cost. So that could be about $50 for CBAP, I think $40 for CCBA, $30 for ECBA. Okay, we are here to make you successful. And that's about it. So you have our contact details here, email address, phone number. So I'm done with the session. I'll be happy to take your questions now. So as I said, I'll take almost 30 minutes for the webinar and I'll leave 30 minutes for your Q&A. Oh, I got a chat message this time. Okay, not very sure. Somebody said, hello, Ellen. Okay, let me go to Q&A and let me pick up the questions from where I left. Okay. For the mock exam questions, I'll go back to the mock exam question. Somebody wants the link. I will do one thing. I will type this link for you in the chat window as well. Okay. Not very sure. I will put it here. Here. It's quite simple. bit.ly 200-IIBA-questions. Okay. Good. So then we have one more question from Muhammad Ali. How long does the training takes? So it depends on the standard. For ECBA, we train 2 weeks, and then we support you for 12 more weeks. No, not 12. 24 more weeks, sorry. So that's 6 months. So in general, students take about 2 to 3 months to complete ECBA certification. CCBA takes a little longer. We train initially for 3 weeks, again support you for 6 months, and students usually take 3 months to 4 months complete the certification. For CBAP, we train you for 4 weeks, and then we support you again for 6 months, and usually students take 4 to 5 months to complete CBAP. You can do it a little aggressively as well, but in general, treat it as 4 months plus minus 1 month for CBAP. Ali says the chat window is disabled for me. I can't really know, but you put it in the Q&A. Chat isn't working, but you put it in Q&A. I will take the question. Someone has a question saying, do you have installment plan for the training class? We do have, but it's only available in the US because the provider, the financial provider operates only when the company and the student are in the same country. Since we are in US, only US-based customers can take benefit of this. Although we would like it to provide it to all our students, but it's not on us, it's on the financial company which is providing that service for us. Swati has a good question. 1 second. What is the cost of the training? Is the mock exam similar to actual exam? Cost of the training, again, there are different plans starting with on-demand. For ECBA, it starts at $199. For CBAP, I think on-demand is $399. Then you have a guided training. Then you have full masterclass. The product prices vary, features vary. So please take a look at our website and it will give you the idea. Our mock exam looks similar to actual exam? Mostly. It's about 90% close. IIBA does not give us any question bank, so it's something we created, and all our faculty members who participated in the question bank creation are certified themselves. So I am certified in all 7. Victoria is certified in 5. Laura is certified in 5. Tom is certified in 4. Fatima is certified in CBAP. So we have plenty of in-house certified professionals as well. So between us, we have about 25 plus certifications done within Adaptive. So we understand the process. We have been part of the writing team as well. Okay. Swati has a question saying, do we need to give an official email ID for the reference? Not necessary. It's preferred because, see, a reference with an official ID brings a little bit more credibility to your application, but not necessarily that it's not a mandate as such from IIBA. But if they see an official ID, they trust. If they don't see an official ID, they may audit. So please remember, IIBA certifications have an audit process as well, which means if your application is picked up for audit, you may have to provide additional evidence, and in that case, IIBA will approve your application. Deogratius has one question. What are the intervals or schedules for the timing trainings? Usually it's weekly. Sometimes you can have a gap as well. Typically, we do it on Saturday, Sunday. Next Saturday, Sunday, there could be a break. Sometimes it could be continuous as well. Some months it's continuous, some months it has a break. But ECBA runs every month, no questions asked, uh, first 2 weekends of the month. Then CCBA and CBAP could be continuous or could be next month. I actually prefer the discontinuous one. The reason being, you get a breather time. So you have a break in between the sessions, so you can actually practice more questions and come prepared to the session. But some people also like the continuous one because they can finish it up and go for the test. Okay. Rana has a good question. Is there an extension document for BABOK that shall be considered in CBAP exam? To my knowledge, no. There are other extensions like Agile extension and all, but they are used for the Agile examination, not for CBAP. For ECBA, CCBA, CBAP, BABOK is of paramount importance. That's the standard. But again, remember, not everything in BABOK comes in the exam. That's something you should remember. There is a chapter called Perspectives, which does not come in the exam for all three standards. Yeah. So either ECBA, CCBA, or CBAP, there is no need to study the Perspectives chapter. Then for ECBA, strategy analysis and solution evaluation are also excluded. So for ECBA, the content is less. For CCBA and CBAP, it is a little bit more. What does the fees cover? Okay. It depends. There is a training fee, there is a resource fee, there is an examination fee. So it depends on your plan, what you're trying to take. You could start only with resources. That's the lowest cost one. You could take live classes with it. You could also take the examination fees bundled with it. So all three are possible. Um, Okay, so one of you have a question saying you have registered for CBDA certification. I have around 160 days left on access to Thinkific. So depending on uh, which product you took, if you took live classes, from the live class end date, it's 6 months. Within that time frame, you should take the test. Okay, if you took guided training, you have to take a look at the success guarantee terms. I don't remember everything, but it's on the website. So if you just go to adaptiveus.com/terms, it will very clearly tell you how success guarantee works. Uh, again, yeah, Amina, you can ask for a bulk CBAP price. There is no problem. Um, so maybe one of my colleagues will reach out to you. Uh, David has a question for CBAP. Do you have study guide? Of course we have. We are a IIBA EP, and our job is to create study guides for you. So we in fact have study guide for all 7 certifications. We have question banks for all 7 certifications. We have simulations for all 7 certifications. In fact, we created a system because the partner that we have for our knowledge content, which is Thinkific, okay, it did not have uh, a simulation module. So we built a simulator module for ourselves. We also sell it to others. It's a product by itself. So this product is very close to what you will see in the exam system. Let me log in. Okay, so it has timer, everything that you actually would see in the exam. Okay. So just give me 1 minute. Let me show this because some of you may be looking at CBAP, so or CCBA, anything. It doesn't matter to me. For our students, we provide 6 simulations, and each simulation you can take 5 times. But in general, we don't recommend taking it more than 2 times because you'll start remembering the questions. So you go to the exam, and then if you go down, there is an instruction sheet similar to what you will see in the IIBA exam. Then you can start the test. You will see the questions. You will see 4 options. You will see an option to flag it. You will also see a timer on top. And after you complete the test, you will get a um, analysis of your questions. How did you do? Did you do well? What was the correct answer as per the experts? What is the answer that you have given? All that you will see here. Okay. We are also trying to make this exam system audio enabled. So, because we got some requests from a government entity in the US which wanted to um, train blind business analysts. So that's what we have been working on. It may take a little while, but maybe in next quarter we will actually release a version of this product, which is more on the audio mechanism. So you can actually hear it on your phone and answer the questions. That's an interesting product that we are working on. Possibly the very first assessment system made specifically for dyslexic and blind students. That's something we are working on. Okay, then let me go back. So I can stop this one. Okay, then let me go back here and let me see the questions. Okay, study guide. Okay, okay. Of course, Tatiana, you can, if you are already CBAP or your CCBA and you want to maintain the recertification, um, you can use CBDA as well, no harm. In general, people go from CCBA to CBAP, but if you are more interested in business intelligence kind of work, CBDA is better. Sheila has a question. Yeah, you can extend Thinkific access. There is a fee for it, but you can extend. Uh, okay. Carla has an interesting question saying, I was told that every 3 years you have to do something to keep the certification. True. The intent is that you are still engaged with the community, you are still doing business analysis work. So you need to earn about 60 credits, which is typically referring to 60 hours of activities, which could be attending another training, um, could be writing a book, if you're interested in writing a book, attending webinars, conferences. There are many ways you can earn these credits. Sedic has an interesting question. What is the passing score for CBAP? We really don't know. We assume it to be about 70%, but that's just an assumption. Okay. So that's why we keep a safety margin. And we say, in general, if you are not scoring above 75%, you're not doing well. And if you want to be really confident, at least score 85% in our simulations. Because remember, when you do our simulations versus when you go for the actual exam, you're going to do little worse. No, because in the real exam, you will be a bit more anxious. Um, so the performance drops a little bit. So that's why, and we also don't know the complexity of actual IIB exam and our exam can be different. It's not that it's identical system. Um, so that's why we keep a little bit higher margin. Uh, just to make sure that you don't fall off from our system. Again, remember, if you have done the simulations, if you have followed our process, you have completed the test at the right time, you are covered under success guarantee, which means we will pay retake fee from our side. You're safe. No, that's a guarantee that we give. So you don't have to worry so much. So go with a happy, calm mind that I have studied well. I have done everything that adaptive asked me to do, and I'm ready to take the test. Okay. And don't be too nervous about the test, because that's what sometimes creates trouble. No, yeah, it's natural to get a little bit nervous. Um, Batungwa, how long does it to take someone to complete all the exams? That means you're looking at all seven. You can do it in 2 years if you're really keen. I took about 10 years. Okay. Because first I did CBAP because that is what was available at that time. Then gradually other certification schemes came in, because initially the certification schemes were not there. There was no CBDA, no ECBA, no CPOA. So as the exam schemes came in, I started appearing for that. So I have done all seven in about say 10 years time frame. But you can do it in 2 years if you're really keen to do all seven of them. Hewart has a good question. How many questions for CBAP? You have 120 questions, 3.5 hours exam time. Out of this 120 questions, you will get about 40, 45 case type questions, which are the longer format question. And then you'll get about 70, 75 short scenario type of question. One suggestion from my side to all of you is if you find CBAP to be a little hard, maybe taking up CCBA is a good option as well. Okay, because you are like getting 70% ready. You are kind of getting the experience with the exam process, and CCBA is a relatively easier exam to qualify. So once you do CCBA qualification, um, then after 3 months or 6 months, you can go for CBAP. I have been requesting to IIBA that people who are going for repeat exams, they should be getting some significant benefit. Um, but it takes a lot of time to convince IIBA to make some change. Like when ECBA was initially launched, it had all six knowledge areas, which I felt too much. So we made a request to IIBA saying that can we drop three knowledge areas for ECBA? They agreed to drop two. Um, okay. Carla has one question, what to do after CBAP? Look at CBDA, look at CPOA, they are good standards. And they're different. No, one is on data side, one is on product ownership. So there's plenty of extension available. Uh, of course, Swati, our questions have both formats. Like if I go back to our Thinkific portal, you will find chapter-wise questions. You will also find simulations. So simulations are mixed content. Okay. But one second, if I go here, there's so many products now, my dashboard. So maybe anything I take here, you'll find content on chapters. You'll find overall content as well. Like, so this is like the access to our live classes and all that. Then if you take any chapter, you will find some videos which I have recorded. Then you'll find a chapter-based study guide, concept questions, warm-up questions, scenario-based questions, depending on, you'll see flashcards, you'll see audiobook, and then as you come towards the end, you will find workshop materials, some plan document, study guide, overall study guide. Then you will also see exam prep help like application simulator, preparation plan, all that kind of thing. And then finally simulations, which actually takes you to simple sim. Okay, so this is what you see. Uh, Nonye, we don't sell the study guide independently uh, because we used to sell before, but a customer is a customer. No, we have to serve the customer. Um, if the customer isn't successful after working together, the blame comes on us, no, as a provider. So we say there's a minimum level of support that is needed for every student. And with a book, we generally are not able to cover that cost. Okay. So Carla, the certification name is CPOA. certified product ownership analyst. That is for basically a role which is trying to make a BA into a product owner. Okay. Hmm. SEDIC has usually study guide, start with study guide, then question bank, then simulation. These three are must. Some people like trying hands at flashcards. It's up to them. But in general, go by the chapter, understand the chapter very well, do the chapter based questions. Once you're done with all the chapters, go for the simulations. Nonya, you can do one thing if you have already attended a course from somebody else. You could look at a product called guided training, so you don't have to again redo the training with us. You get all the resources, and you can also get faculty support. That means if you have questions, doubts, you can write to us. You can also join something called live office hour, where you can come and ask questions, like you're asking me questions today. But this is where you can't speak because it's a webinar. But in the other one, you can actually speak. You can ask me questions. Okay. Uh, Iris, I believe we are recording and you will get a recording of this session. Don't worry. Okay. So we have last 5 minutes for the session. Any question from anyone else? Oh, okay. Bethany. Uh, Bethany has a question. Is access to the mock exams available after access to the class ends? Of course. The classes will end in about a month's time or max 2 months. So you will have access for another 6 months from the end of the live training uh, for the learning resources, and which we believe is good enough for you to complete the test. But in case one or two students also want a little bit extension, you can get that extension um, by paying a little fee. Uh, Yeah, usually, Bethany, that's right. If you take a simulation today and you try to take the same simulation tomorrow, you will remember the questions very well. We are trying to do some randomization in the questions that will make it a little harder for you to remember, but it may take a little time. It's not yet. Okay. Swati, only guidance and study material. That's called the guided training. So look for something called guided training in our, like if you go to our website, just for a quick note, uh, where is our website link? Somewhere here, it must be there. So click on this courses, okay? You'll see something called guided training. So live training is usually the master class. Guided training has content and support. This is pure content. That's how the three plans differ. Okay, let me go back and see if I got any other question. Nope, looks like all done. So thank you guys for joining us today. I hope I was a bit useful to you in terms of answering your queries. Some of you have asked me some deep questions on BABOK as well, but you guys seem to be more interested in the structure program and all. It's okay. It's not that, but I am not the owner for that process. I'm more the owner for the learning process. So it's okay. So you have my email address as well. It's ln@adaptiveus.com. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn as well, so you can connect to me on LinkedIn and let's stay in touch. And I wish all of you good luck with your IIBA certification preparation, and hopefully we can expedite that process much faster. So you can do it yourself. Maybe it will take you a year and a half. With us, maybe you will be able to do it in 4 months. So you get that 12 months, 16 months of extra benefit of being certified. And trust me, uh, being certified can make you earn 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100% salary hike. It's possible. Our students have done it. 30% is usually what we see, but students have gone up to 100% as well. Thank you so much, guys, and have a lovely day. Have a lovely evening, depending on where you are. And I hope we will stay in touch, and we will help each other to grow in our business and career. Thank you.